Hello everyone, welcome back to Pockets, the journaling series where we have a journal full of pockets that we stuff filled with things that are important to us based off writing prompts that we do. It's been a little bit, I haven't really had time or capacity to film lately. And today I decided to break up. We had quite a few questions that I had come up with in the last one. So we are focusing on just the first couple ones today. And the questions were, what is the goodness around me and how do I contribute to it? Also, how am I learning to sit with discomfort? How am I learning to do so? That is what I journaled about, and I am ready to get started. I pulled out some things already, kind of have an idea of where this is going because of the journaling session I had. So sit with those questions for as long as it takes. Don't feel any pressure to have it be a certain way. Just allow the writing to take you where it feels like it needs to go. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to get the tarot card that I want to include in the pocket for today. Oh my. I'm having some issues. My right hand is really swollen, and I'm having some issues with my grip, not being able to. So my shuffling is less than graceful, even more so than usual. So I'm gonna pull the Apprentice of Pentacles. This kind of seems to me, now I'm not super familiar with how this lines up, if the Apprentice would necessarily be the, I would think that it would, yeah, it is. After the 10, it is the Apprentice, and then the Steward of Pentacles. So more of a student, more learning, and with the Pentacles and the Earth energy and the material reality around us. I'm kind of reading that along with my journaling as practicing more presence and accepting the moment for what it is and surrendering to whatever the present moment is. I have been studying pretty heavily. It's part of what I've been doing the past month and a half. Pretty heavily, I've been studying non-duality and the idea that we are all God and we are all connected. I think I'm gonna have to not use the back part of this because the zine that I made is so big. It's fun to revisit this since I haven't been here in a while in this journal. But this feels like right now I'm in the moment where I am studying being open to the idea that sometimes the most suffering that we have is the suffering we experience because we are longing for things that are outside of our reach, or we are not satisfied with the things that are around us. Disclaimer, there's definitely suffering in the world. I think everybody can agree that the world is kind of messed up right now and difficult to be in right now. I personally, I've written about this in my Substack, in previous articles, but something that I've been dealing with, I specifically talked about it in my ancestor collage piece that I did recently, is I've been struggling with the fact that I've always been very resistant to my role as a stay-at-home mom because I was raised to be the, the independent girl, the girl who, I have a career and I am dependent on my own and I am self-reliant, which kind of leads into the next question, which has to do with community and care. But I think it's important to remember that we only have one life and we all play a part. And part of that is just kind of being awestruck and seeing the beauty in everything around us. You know, I live in the country and I am not a country girl by nature. It does not come naturally to me. But I live in a small town in the middle of nowhere, and we are trying to be more self-sufficient and live a life that I didn't necessarily envision for myself. Which means not only granting myself some grace, but also accepting the imperfections that will probably always be there. I'm being kind of chatty right now, so I'm just gonna doodle on the back here, since I'm not going to be filling this with anything new. So non-duality, in the way that I'm studying it, is this idea that everything is one, everything is connected, everything is God, right? You can use whatever terminology that you want to use. I don't have any religious trauma with the word God. It doesn't necessarily bother me, and it kind of cuts straight to the point, so that is why I use that. And so there's suffering in the world, there's suffering in all of our lives. You know, everybody has their own degrees of it. Everybody goes through what they go through. And I don't think that using non-duality as a way to spiritually bypass that is a helpful way to be in the world, especially as a spiritual person. But we can take the lessons that we learn through the experiences that we have and use them as a way to learn more about surrender and learn more about being in the world. I don't think this is a perfect process. There are people who study this for lifetimes, if you believe in reincarnation. So I just, and my introduction to non-duality was via contemplative Christianity, and now I'm studying a couple different people who are from different lineages and different traditions. And as you know, that's just something that's a special interest to me. But it has been the thing that makes the most sense and aligns the most with my own personal experience of God. And so I know I've written in my Substack also before about seeing God in the unlikely places, seeing God in dishwater, seeing God in the dirt when you're digging up for the garden that you don't know what you're doing and you feel completely overwhelmed and your body aches. I'm dealing with a lot of chronic pain issues right now, so seeing God in the pain that my body holds, not necessarily as like a, you know, this is what I'm meant to go through or anything like that. More so as a, this is what I'm dealing with. This is the way that my body is handling things right now. And so where do I find grace in that? Where do I support myself with love, which is God, in these moments where there is suffering, both physical and mental? So when I'm asking a question, what is the goodness around me? I am practicing presence. And I think it's interesting that the tarot card that we pulled shows the apprentice in nature holding the pentacle and kind of examining it. I think observation is a form of magic that gets overlooked. I've talked on this channel before about growing up being in love with Harriet the Spy. So I think observation is one of the ways that we recognize the goodness that is around us, even in moments that might surprise us. It's one of the first things that I'm gonna put here. Oh, this is a side pocket. This will be interesting. Like I said, I don't think I've really even opened this journal since my last video. I think this is an important aspect of this question, and I contribute to it. Part of what I journaled about is I contribute to the goodness around me by showing up. I lessen the suffering by the act of surrendering my resistance to this timeline, radical acceptance of what is in front of me. This leads into the next question about learning to sit with discomfort. I am learning to sit through discomfort by surrender. Control is only an illusion. We don't really have control over anything other than our choices and decisions, and there's still external things going on that we don't have control over. Ultimately, what happens will happen. Meeting every moment with this radical acceptance means less fighting what is and more being in the moment. So I pulled, if you're not on like Substack Notes, I pulled I am offering to send out some of the collage cards that I make for to folks for free. It's not really a pick one situation. I pull a random one and send it to you. Two of the cards I wanted to include in this pocket was the card for home and grace. Home is, I am a homemaker. This is very obvious as, you know, something that's important to me. So the home card feels kind of like a given to me. And then grace is, well, I'm actually studying that grace can be God. It is the way that God meets us in the everyday and in the difficult moments, but also the grace that we allow ourselves when we maybe get frustrated or find ourselves dissatisfied with the present moment that is. It's a practice. It's not always going to be perfect, so we do the best that we can. So these two cards from the deck that I've been making will be going in my pocket. Next is this watercolor painting that I did of my son's little mouse that was gifted to him by a family member. I've had to mend it twice now, but I think there's something extraordinarily beautiful about the fact that not only can I take the time to mend things for my kids, but also that I can, it's just another small moment. Like, it's just another thing that seems so mundane and so ordinary that other people might overlook it. And I spent a majority of my life overlooking things like this. And so now I'm trying to open my eyes to it, because I think that taking the time to mend a handmade toy is beautiful for a kid. I have these stickers available in my Ko-fi shop. Linked below, it says ordinary is the whole point. These are matte stickers, and the design was hand drawn by me. I'm not going to be able to get it peeled, but that is because I don't have any fingernails. Okay. I definitely wanted to include this sticker because it goes along with this theme of finding beauty in ordinary moments. if anyone's familiar with the Gospels, and specifically, I think it's the Gospel of Thomas, which is just a bunch of sayings of Jesus, kind of like wisdom sayings. He's always saying, for those with eyes to see, for those with ears, let them hear. Basically, kind of like an initiatory phrase, like if you are open to this knowledge, then you will be able to absorb it, and if not, then you won't fully understand it. I apologize, there is someone who's mowing, but this is the only time I have to record, so we're just gonna have to go with it. Anyways, these stickers are available in my Ko-Fi shop for, I think, $3. Pay what you wish, starting at $3, just because I do have some other sticker designs that I am saving up for and hope to get printed to share with everybody, including, I think I shared the snail one that I made about grace. I'm gonna put these cards in here. And my little journaling note. And then the last thing that I kind of wanted to do was, one of the things I journaled about was that, and this kind of bleeds over into the community and care portion, but that I also have been finding medicine from being in the kitchen. That being in the kitchen has been kind of healing for me. And also nature. I wanted to include these stickers. Observation. I'm trying to learn how to cook, and I have failed twice now at my sourdough starter. But I have these brunch stickers from Bomb Kitchen. I'm saying that the best way that I can, and I'm sure I'm not saying it correctly. But I wanted to include these because they're fun, and learning about bread and learning about different methods of cooking. I've been trying to eat healthier since I've been dealing with a lot of chronic pain. I've been trying to mend my diet so that my body can, so that I can be dealing with less inflammation and less issues with constant pain and swelling and like lightning shooting through my hands and my toes. I think one of the first blog posts I did, and it was when I was still over on WordPress, was talking about, it was for Lughnasadh, which is the festival of bread, for the Wheel of the Year, back when I was still like super into witchcraft. I baked my first no knead loaf of bread, which is a very easy and beginner friendly recipe, and it just felt so magical and so potent, and I was connected to my ancestors, and I felt very empowered. And I've had a lot of failures in the kitchen since then. That was before we even lived in this house. But there's beauty in the showing up, and that's part of what I journaled about too, is that, you know, part of it is you show up and you do the work, even on the hard days, even when you're tired. If I have any fellow parents and stay-at-home parents out there, I'm sure you know better than anyone that there's not really any breaks. It's not like you get to put in for vacation time. You know, my kids go to their grandparents every once in a while, which is a blessing and gives us time to recharge. But like, yeah, there's not breaks in parenthood. And so, even if, you know, the whole family is sick and you're sick, like you know, stuff still has to get done. People have to eat. And that is how I add to the beauty and add to the goodness of the moment. And that is also how I encourage myself to be of service in the moment, because it can get very easy to, and I do this all the time, so this is not perfect by any means, but it can be very simple to just like throw a little pity party and feel bad for ourselves and the circumstances. And you know, everyone deserves to be cared for, certainly, but also your kids are only young once, and you know, you'll get through it. It'll be hard, but you'll do it. One of the things that I've been saying a lot lately is that like motherhood is not something that I thought I was equipped for. It is very difficult, and I didn't think that I would be able to do it. It challenges me every single day, but it also encourages me to be better, and I try to be better. And even if I fail at that, and you know, we all go to bed crabby and mad at each other, I show up the next day and try again. And as somebody who is recovering from alcoholism, that is powerful. That in itself is healing. That is, you know, doing the damn thing, because it's not checking out of life, checking out of the things that are going on around you, not being present for those that you love and those that love you is easy. It's what I've learned is that it is the easy way to avoid suffering. It still is suffering. You will feel it later. It is not an escape hatch. You will not be free from the choices that you make. So the best thing that we can do, instead of checking out, whether it's through our phone or drugs or alcohol or whatever, the best thing that we can do is show up as we are and just keep doing that. I think this is it. Also, I've got this little booklet here. I wanted to put something on the front, but I wasn't sure what to include. That's why I was looking through. This is like where I keep some of my favorite stickers. I have some from La Green Witch. That I have been saving probably for far too long, but you know, that's what we do with the stationery that we love. I'll put another cup of tea on the front. And we always love the tea stickers. And I wonder if these paint markers will work. There. And it's just a little booklet that I will also slide in there. I've got these chicken postage stamp washi tape. And this little For My Bestie sticker. Ultimately, I think that my kids, who are my best friends other than my husband, ultimately I think that if anybody ends up going through these journals after I'm gone, it'll be my kids or my grandkids. So I like how that turned out. And put that like this, and then you can kind of see it in the little window. And the little card goes through here. And that's it. That is the first portion for the questions that we have. The next questions have to do with what is community and care, what from our childhood taught us about community and care, and how do I practice community and care. So I will be sharing that in the next segment of pockets, because this pocket is already stuffed full. And I think I'm gonna have to do that where, yeah, because I think I did the zine, then this was the first one. Yeah, I think like one question or like one session per pocket. So I'm gonna have to figure out something to decorate the back, because I don't have that available right now. Actually, this is what I'm gonna put. My daughter drew this. She traced a unicorn picture and then kind of like colored it in and added a face and gave it to me. She told me to use it in my art. And so I'm gonna put that there, because that is also a great example of ordinary beauty. All right, y'all, I hope that you have enjoyed this session of pockets. I hope that you go and get some journaling done and are creative today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks, bye.